Is there anything else that like you're like, man, no one ever asked me about this. I wish more people would ask me about this thing.
Maybe baseball, low key. I don't know. Pretty good at baseball, but nah, yeah, I'm not too surprised people don't ask me about it. That's the thing. I don't really follow. I don't really follow baseball anymore, just because I don't play it. Uh, but I was always a big Yankees fan as a kid. Um, Babe Ruth was my guy. When I was born, or when I was like 3 years old, uh, my dad caught me outside hitting a ball with a stick off the back of the house, and he's like, "Holy shit, this Babe Ruth reincarnated." Uh, and so after that, he was trying to get me into baseball, and I loved it.
That's the Jersey side in you coming out, man. That East Coast, like, just yeah, gotta play baseball. I get it.
Oh,
No,
hey man,
you're
like
good.
Hawaii is one of the biggest baseball capitals of the world, man. We got some ballers that come out of Hawaii for baseball, and um, shoot, I guess maybe that's why I said it, because like, man, Hawaii don't get enough credit for baseball.
Pono Davis, how you doing, buddy?
Good, how's it going? Good to
Good,
be here.
man. Good, good. I'm glad that you wanted to come on the show. It's awesome to see you, and too bad we didn't catch up on match day up here in Utah, but it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Let's kind of start off with a timeline for you. You're born Hilo, Hawaii, right?
I was actually born on Oahu, so Honolulu, but yeah, I born and raised in Hawaii. Grew up on the Big Island. Um, Grew up in Kona originally, and then moved to Hilo. Went to Kamehameha schools. Um, Ended up, doing football, and yeah, kind of ended up bringing me out to Texas, Tyler Junior College, SMU, and um, then COVID hit. So yeah, kind of been all over the place, and rugby kind of just brought me in, and it's been pretty good ever since I got here.
Well, I got so many questions about your college career because it's very interesting. You started at JUCO and then in 2017 you transferred to SMU. You also were made to go to the Frisco Bowl and to the
Mm-hmm.
Hula Bowl. You had to tweet somebody to get to the Hula Bowl. I mean, your play was
Yeah,
awesome, but you were like, "Hey man, I'm not getting recognized as much as I should be."
yeah,
What led to that?
kind of a crazy story. Pretty awesome too, because I actually got to see and hang out with Rich Miano after the San Diego game, and he was the guy that I tweeted at to get invited to the Hula Bowl, because he's a Hawaii guy, played in the NFL, came back, coached, and kind of got a lot of kids to go to the next level, um, moving out of Hawaii and going to the mainland or playing for University of Manoa. And yeah, so growing up, I always watched UH football and always wanted to play there. And he was one of those guys that was involved. Rich Miano was, man, everyone was like, knew who Rich Miano was. So my brother actually told me, he's like, hey, you should hit up Rich Miano and try to get invited to the Hula Bowl, because Rich Miano was in charge of the Hula Bowl. He invited me after I tweeted at him, and it's just one of those things that I was stoked about, because that was the first time they had the Hula Bowl in 10 years, I believe. And I'd never had the opportunity to play in Aloha Stadium, which is actually in being demolished now. So it was one of those honors that I was just, it was amazing. It really took my brother away after playing in it, and knowing that I could compete at that level, because a lot of those guys and a lot of guys I played with are still playing, whether it's the NFL, the XFL, or the USFL now.
Did you choose number 51? Was it given to you? How did you get 51?
Yeah, so growing up, we weren't allowed to play football because our mom didn't let us. Um, we didn't start playing until my brother got in high school, and he wanted the number 52 just because it was one of those numbers that in the NFL, those guys that had number 52 were always DNs, hard hitting, feared, and he just wanted to be like that. Like Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews is one of the guys that he always looked at. And I I didn't really care about what number I got. So the first number I got was like 60 or something. And I was like, man, that just looks bad. And so I was like, nah, I'm going to change it to 51. That way I'm 51, 52. So whenever you get my brother, you get me. And that was our thing. I had 51, he had 52. And I kind of just stuck with it. I loved it because then after I got the number, I started watching everyone that had the number 51 in the league. And they were always like a lower rated player, but every time they played, they were going lights out. And I just felt like it's one of those low key numbers that nobody really watched or wanted, but I just liked it. So I always kept it, loved that number, and just kept, yeah, always wanted to be number 51. And then my brother ended up transferring and playing with me at SMU after he graduated at TCU. So I was 51 and he was 52. And that was one of our dreams as a playing NCAA college football on our cousin's Xbox or whatever because we didn't even have our own. And yeah, so that was pretty amazing. Got to live that dream of playing college football with my brother.
Were you able to go to the Hula Bowl? Did your brother go with you to that, or was that on your
No,
own?
he was a year older than me.
Oh, okay.
So he was already done with his college football career, and he was pursuing his master's. But he was every step of the way. He was there with me, uh, helping me train, getting extra handwork, whatever it was. He was always there. He was on the sidelines of every game because our strength coaches knew him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, come on, like you're a good guy for our team. Just help encourage all the boys because he knew everybody already." So it's yeah, awesome.
Would
Yeah.
you say that it was your brother that really inspired you a lot more to get into contact sports? I know you played just about everything. You've played basketball and hockey, and how do you play hockey in Hawaii? Like, explain that one.
Yeah. So in Kona, we actually have a roller rank, like a roller hockey rank,
Oh, okay.
and it was a whole league, and like we had a couple teams. I want to say like 3 or 4 teams, and we just play each other on the weekend. And we were just kids, but um, yeah, we were really into it. But it also kind of starts with my dad because he's from New Jersey. So my dad's from New Jersey and my mom is from Hawaii. He moved out because he was like, I don't want to live in New Jersey anymore. I want to go surf. And, ended up being surfing, construction, diving, fishing, doing the whole. He's a local now, like does everything. So, um, yeah. So him coming to Hawaii, he's like, man, I want my kids to play everything because he didn't get to do all that. Like if he wanted to play hockey, he would just have to tape on newspaper to his elbows and knees, and so he's like, you guys are all playing sports. So ever since we were kids, we were always playing something, whether it was hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, and then water polo. My mom ended up coaching high school water polo with my sisters, and they went to college for water polo and soccer, and then the same thing was for me and my brother. We were always in sports, and it was always football, baseball, and shoot, I ended up doing everything else with wrestling and judo and uh, what else did I do? Oh, track. Um, and my brother did swimming. So it was like we were doing there's not a season during the year where we weren't playing sports. Um, but yeah, hockey was always one of those things. I was like, "What? You did hockey?" Um, but it's just one of those violent sports that we always wanted to play. And I actually wasn't old enough to play with my siblings, so I had to play at age up. And I was like 6 or 7, and I spent the entire time in the penalty box just because I didn't know how to stop. I would just take people out, and my brother was the same thing. He couldn't skate, so they put him in the goalie as goalie, and he would just block all the shots, so just stand in the way. And yeah, I was kind of just like the goon of the squad, just the littlest guy out there, but it just taking people's wheels off their skates. And yeah, it was one of those things that we always laughed about playing when we were younger, because I would be like tripping on my pants because they're too big, and stuff like that.
Let's go a little bit back to your college stuff because I do actually want to ask you, is it hard for you to not feel cheated out of an NFL opportunity because of COVID?
Uh, yeah, I guess. I mean, there's so many guys that I know that didn't get a shot, and it's kind of just something you have to live with, and it's all in God's plan. So it all happens for a reason. I would have loved to have that opportunity to have got at least an NFL camp, or OTAs, or some kind of preseason with a team, just to get that actual look. Um, but it all happened how it's supposed to, and uh, shoot, never close those doors though. So hopefully, if I ever get that shot again, I'm not going to waste it.
Awesome. Is it true that at the time of your pro day, well, your pro day was canceled, but at the time you threw up 30 reps of 225?
Yeah, yeah. It was around like
Dude,
34 reps, I believe. But yeah, 30 reps.
oh my
Mhm.
gosh, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's an insane number. Like in that draft class, there was only like two other guys that did that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It,
You're a beast, man.
it wasn't it wasn't really like a surprise to me, because in all the preseasons before that, I had always put up a similar number, so I was always close to it. Um, and my brother was obviously always there when I was training, so he's like, "You can always put up more. You can put up more. You can put up more." Um, so I wasn't surprised. I thought I could have got more, um, but if we had the pro day, yeah, I don't know. It's a bunch of what ifs.
Yeah. In the spring of 2021, you played for the Sea Lions. Now, I'm kind of confused what the Sea Lions is. Is it XFL? Is it USFL? Or is it TSL?
Yeah, it was the spring league, TSL. So it was
TSL.
it was one of those leagues that kind of had a short lifespan just because of COVID, and that was their way of like, well, these guys didn't get a shot. Let's make a league to where we can get them film, um, and try to get them picked up by teams. Just because we didn't have that year of film, that was the biggest thing that I got from agents and scouts, was they're like, "Oh, you got a whole year of film that we don't know what you're doing. Like, you just be out of shape." And I was at TCU as a strength coach, like coming in as an intern, or possibly an intern, um, to be with the strength coach or strength staff. And I got the call from one of my older coaches, Blake Brockemeyer, and he was our offensive line coach at the spring league, and he was the GA, or our defensive analyst at SMU. And he called me up while I was there and was telling me like, "Hey, are you in the draft for the spring league? Because I'm trying to pick you up right now." And I was like, "The spring league? Like, shoot." no, but I'm trying to be like, how do I get in there? And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll get you in, and it'll all work out. And so, like, basically, when I got that call, I was like, shoot, this is another opportunity to play. I gotta take it. Like, yes, being a strength coach would be awesome, and being at TCU, which was my rivalry school, so I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I want to go to TCU. But my brother was at TCU. Our best friend who lived with us while I was in college was a strength coach at TCU at the time. That's why I was there. And I was like, a lot of people were kind of pushing me in the direction of like, start start your career, like start, like just give it up, hang them up. And I was like, ah, nah, I still got more in me. Like I want to play. Like yeah, it'd be cool, but I'm not trying to be waking up every morning at 4 o'clock just to go watch other people train and play. Like I gotta get it out. And I ended up playing well. I thought I had a really good season, had some really good film from the spring league, and had a couple messages from CFL and a lot of indoor leagues, and I just wasn't trying to go down to a different level of football, whereas like I'm not playing football anymore. Um, like wearing flats as cleats was something I was like, I don't really want to do an indoor league just to get film. Like if I'm gonna play football, it's gonna be like CFL or better. And a lot of the guys that were with the Raptors, which was the next team that I ended up going to, um, were either from the CFL, uh, just out of the XFL, or going to the USFL. And I was still very much thinking about going back to football, um, just because that's how it felt going into the Raptors. The way they like brought me in was we had a lot of football guys that were trying to get back to football, and rugby was one of those opportunities that's going to keep us fit, but also like it's a job. So like you're a professional athlete, but you got all this free time to train on your own, and you got a lot of football guys around you that are also trying to go to the NFL still. So I
So
went over there fully prepared to train and go back to football, and ended up falling in love with the sport, and I'm I'm still playing.
I actually really wanted to know what was the pitch from the American Raptors? I mean, was it just that of like we're going to get you back in football, or was it hey, you can tour the world, you can see all these other places in a different sport? Like, how did that go? What was that meeting like?
Yeah, that I mean it was pretty much like this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to pull football players, wrestlers, other sports guys that are at the top of their level in America at the time, and bring them in and train them to be rugby players. And then we're gonna go and play rugby. But we can't just bring you in like thinking, oh yeah, this gonna be here. So they're gonna bring you in for a tryout, and then see what you can do. If we like you, we'll tell you, we'll talk to you and bring you back. If not, then it's just gonna be a tryout. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. In Dallas, just finished the spring league, just chilling, training at SMU, and was like, shoot, I might as well go check it out. Never been to Colorado before, never actually played rugby. Um, but it seems like a legit chance to get paid to play rugby, or just the chance to play anything and get paid for it. So I was like, shoot, I might as well check it out. And um, I love it over there. Like, shoot, I still like the boys hit me up and they want me to come back, and just that whole Glendale, like I don't know, I just like the boys are so solid. The coaches are like Coach Bott, everyone that's involved over there, man. It's just it was such a good like welcome into rugby, just because of the people that were around us, and that's what kept me playing rugby was everyone that was there, all the the community of it was just really cool to see, and was something I never really experienced with football, just because everyone, like all your fans, aren't there like on the pitch with you, whereas like rugby, like you're playing with a lot of the guys that are watching you play. Um, because like even now that I've been playing in the MLR and I went back to the Raptors and like going to the Aspen Ruggerfest, all the like different tournaments that they have for rugby, drinking beers with your opponent after and stuff like that was just intriguing to me, and just yeah, I love it.
How hard was it for you to go from defensive line to now a prop? And like how did you have to change your mindset? What was that transition like for you?
Uh, I don't think I really did have to change my mindset too much, just because like the way we trained at SMU with Kaz Kazadi was you got to be adaptable. Um, in tough situations, like great players will adjust and adapt. So that's kind of just how I just kept doing it that way. And Taniela Tupou, who was our captain um, with the Raptors, had a big part of like how we played, and I kind of just kept that mentality moving from football to rugby. Was like, hey, they think you can't do it, so prove them wrong, and also like just bring that football mentality to the sport. Just because like there's with football, it's like goal line or 4th and 1. He's like treat every situation like you're 4th and 1. Like, they don't get that 1 inch on you. They don't give you that 1 yard, 1 meter, nothing. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I always try to kind of bring something in there where I'm like, shoot, if this was a football, boys, like just hit it. Like, uh, but yeah, I don't know what to like how to explain. Like coming in from rugby, I kind of just kept the same mentality of you can do this. Like don't ever think like, oh, I haven't been doing it. Like these guys know what they're doing more than me. Um, just show up and show out.
How did your training change? Because
Uh,
you dropped a lot of weight,
yeah,
right? From
yeah. This past year, I've dropped a lot of weight, but I kind of contribute to that to my off season. Because last year after I got hurt against DC, I had torn my MCL and sprained pretty much everything else in my knee, and went home for 6 weeks, which was the longest time I had ever got to go home. Just because college football, you get like maybe 1 or 2 weeks where you can go home. Um, and my brother got heavily into CrossFit and paddling, so I would just wake up early with him, go train, come home, eat, go paddling in the afternoon, and was just really on my nutrition, my fitness, and uh, that's where it all got started. Was I got back with my brother and just training and focusing in on getting my knee right, getting healthy, and then coming back and being 100%. Um, and it really paid off. And then going back to Colorado after my first MLR season was also good because I was fresh off my knee. Just rehabbed it at home on my own, my brother, and that was my first actual time I was running was when I showed up in Colorado and started running, playing again, and felt healthy. Kept going, played the whole fall season with them, and yeah, I lost quite a bit of weight there just because I mean the meters, man, that's what kills you really. It's hard to put that weight back on after you play a full 80 or 60-minute games. And but I felt like I've lost a lot of the bad weight, which is just you go from being 300 pounds to 265 pounds. Like you're gonna lose a lot of that if you're just running and training as hard as we do in rugby. Um, but yeah, football training and rugby training are not the same thing. That's for sure.
You were never unfit. I mean, you still ran a 40 and 5 flat at 300 pounds. That's a smart car hitting
Exactly. That's
somebody, dude. What do your trainings look like now preparing for matches?
I will say now, um, because it's mid-season, we're doing a lot of uh, like care training. Like in every like block of exercises, there's always something like if you need something that you got to work on, go get it. Like if you got something that's bothering you, go work on it. But yeah, I mean, it's all about being fresh at this point of the season. You don't have to be putting on heavy weight, which is something different coming from football because we were still doing somewhat heavy weight at this point in our season. Um, Still doing heavy squats, still doing uh, power cleans and everything like that. Whereas now, like in rugby, I feel like we kind of take a lot of the weight off um, and just focus on the technique and speed and being able to move around quicker. And we always do these like jump max efforts, just trying to measure if we're getting better, if we're moving the same as what we were at the beginning of the season, or if we're kind of dropping off. But they do a good job at looking at us. We got John Hoodie here in Houston as our strength coach, and he really knows his stuff. So I really don't have to think about it too much. I just listen to what he says, and I'll do it.
How long did they lock you down?
So I signed a 2-year contract here. That was that was kind of a tough decision for me, moving from the Raptors to coming back to Houston, or shoot, vice versa is both. Is either come back to Colorado or come back to Houston, and it was a tough decision because love that program there, love what they're doing, excited for the future of that program, um, and would love to at some point, if possible, go back to them. And but I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But I just felt like coming back to Houston was the move.
I was gonna ask, man. Texas seems to have just absorbed you as one of their own. What is the biggest thing that keeps you there?
Probably the gas prices. uh, nah, I don't know what it is because it's miserably hot. It's so hot, like can't even explain how bad it is. But shoot, the food's good, the prices are cheap, and shoot, if I wanted to get a gun, I could get one. If I want to go fishing, I can still go fishing. Um, but the opportunities is honestly the biggest part. Um, Coming out of JUCO, I had offers to go to Colorado, University of Hawaii, Louisiana, Monroe, and that was probably why I stayed in Texas, was because SMU offered me, and they're in the middle of Texas, in the middle of where football is probably closest to being a religion. And at that point in my life, when I made that decision, my goal was to go to play in the NFL. And Texas seemed like the place to be to go do that.
I mean, you've only been in the game for 2 years. So like I anticipate, seeing other guys and going, okay, that's the style of game that I want.
It's a lot easier having the guys that we bring in, just because we got guys coming in from New Zealand. Last year we had Juan Pablo here and Aaron Mitchell, who was another American. It was huge for me coming in as well, just because he was a center and I was a defensive tackle. So we would always, if we were to play each other, we'd go against each other. But yeah, having Rob Cobb, Morgan Mitchell, those two guys in front of me uh, is a huge help. So just listening to them and like how they feel. Joe Taufete'e, huge help with the scrums. Axel Zapata, like I just I'm lucky because I have a lot of guys that have that experience and played at the highest level. Um, just they're chatting to me they're telling me like, oh, we need this from you, we need this from you. It helps a lot for me, and that was something why I really wanted to come back here to Houston. Was because we have guys like that have played at the highest level, and they're helping me perfect my craft and be better, and learn how to play rugby. And a lot of that just happens on the field, and I don't need to try so hard to go out and ask for help because it's already there for me.
How have your goals changed now from, I mean, your mindset hasn't had to change too much, but I'm sure that your goals have probably changed from wanting to get back to the NFL. Is that still a priority for you? What are you thinking?
The NFL is always something I want to do, and would love to be able to make that happen. But at this point, it kind of has to be USA Rugby. I mean, I gotta get that under my belt somehow. Um, and that I feel like it's not too far off, and it's something I look forward to hopefully getting a chance to do. Um, and I got real close last year. Had the USA Falcons invite, and but I was already hurt at that point in the season, so I didn't get to do it. Um, but yeah, USA Rugby, possibly go overseas. That would be shoot. That would be so awesome.
Do you think that the MLR is a good stepping stone for that, for maybe an American that hasn't had the opportunity yet?
Um, shoot, I hope so. Uh, I mean, I feel like it's a really good like competitive side. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of really good international players that are in the MLR currently, and uh, shoot, I think a lot of these teams can compete, and we got some big boys out here, and shoot, we got some hard hitters too. So yeah, I think for sure MLR is a good a good spot for competition, and hopefully to get guys to play higher rugby or maybe just bring more more money into the MLR. And shoot, we'll see how big this league can get.
Was the MLR's growth, was that a big factor in your decision to come back to the MLR versus staying at Super Americas?
Um, it didn't really play into my decision making too much. Um, but I mean, you can see it. You can see there's a lot more fans getting involved. Uh, a lot more clubs like just getting started, especially in Texas. Like I feel like not too many people know about rugby, but it's definitely getting bigger out here, and we got a lot of kids and uh, a lot of fans coming around and wanting to be a part of rugby and just coming to the games. And um, you need to get more camps going and more involvement from everybody. But you can definitely see the growth of the sport coming around.
It's endearing to hear a collegiate story like yours, where you had shots, you had opportunities, and then the MLR is picking you up and using you to have a homegrown kid, honestly. Like that's super cool for you. What would you say to the kids that are in Texas right now that may be looking at rugby that don't know the sport as well? I mean, what's your advice to those kinds of kids that are playing football right now?
Shoot, I wouldn't even know what to do, to be honest, because I didn't start playing rugby till I got paid for it. Just keep playing, or just come out, come to the games, come watch us, come see how you can get involved. There's clubs that need players all over the place. So, um, yeah,
In your opinion, what makes rugby so special?
the community for sure, um, but also the respect. Because shoot, not too many sports is there that you can get run over and get back up and still you just got to keep going. You got to play on. You got to respect it. You can't fight about it because you just got run over. Um, so yeah, just having that respect for one another and being able to take a hit and drink a beer with each other after the game was one of those things that brought me in.